Well, building it was a colossal challenge, as the pyramid was a sacred place, so it had to be built according to all their religious beliefs. That might help explain what these shafts were for. There are two similar shafts above us in the king's chamber. The difference with those is that they do go all the way to the outside of the pyramid. So why wouldn't these shafts here in the queen's chamber also reach to the outside? Zahi and remote sensing expert Meg Waters decided to climb the pyramid for another look.
The Great Pyramid rises some 450 feet above the ground, and climbing it reveals just how big the building blocks are. Zahi and Meg are working their way to the point where the tunnels from the shaft chamber should emerge, about halfway up.
We are near that shaft now.
Okay.
But the archaeologists here at Giza looked everywhere on the surface, on the south here, and they could not find any evidence at all of this shaft that has a hole outside.
Can you tell me what were the shafts for?
My theory that I believe that the south shaft functioned, it's a symbolic corridor for the soul of the king as the sun god Ra. Then symbolically in the mind of the Egyptian, that the soul of the king will go through that shaft. The northern one, it's also a model corridor for the king as the god Horus to join the northern stars.
The role of the shafts must have been very important, because building them was incredibly difficult. They weren't just drilled through the finished pyramid. As we've seen, they were carefully laid out as the pyramid went up, layer by layer. So why did the king need special shafts? Why couldn't his soul simply go down the grand gallery and out the regular exit? Egyptologist Rainer Stadelmann thinks the king refused to.
This was very, very important. We have it in the pyramid text that the king says, "My distaste is to descend into the earth. I, the king, ascend directly to the sky."
But if the king's spirit went directly from his burial chamber to the sky, why then go to all the trouble of building shafts for the queen's chamber, where the king was never even buried? The answer may be linked to magic. Mark Lehner thinks the queen's chamber was a dummy chamber, a sealed room inhabited only by the king's soul. But the soul would need to move out of the pyramid to the heavens, so wouldn't a stone door pose a problem?
A blocked passage would be no problem for a king's soul. It didn't have to be open for the king to ascend. The principal means of going into the other world in any normal Egyptian tomb was what we call a false door, a dummy door. But when they make a simulated door out of stone, then it's magical, and then it can commune with the netherworld.
But if the blocking stone is a kind of magical false door, why does it appear to have handles?
These copper fittings are magical instruments which the king can take, or the soul of the king can take when it ascends. It uses them to open these blocks and pass through the stones to the sky.
Magic was essential to Egyptian rituals, and Khufu's burial chamber must have contained all sorts of papyrus scrolls with magical writings, prayers to help him on his way to the heavens. But what about behind the stone?
It might be possible that there is, let's say, a papyrus roll or something behind these stones. There's no place for much more.
The mystery of the secret shaft remains as tantalizing as ever.
Though Zahi may have preferred a more subtle technique, it was a nearly insane blasting campaign in the 1800s that led to one of the most amazing discoveries ever made in the Great Pyramid. Then, a British colonel named Howard Vyse used dynamite in a futile hunt for treasure within the Great Pyramid. Instead, he discovered several secret rooms stacked one over the other above the king's burial room. There are 5, and they're called relieving chambers, built to spread the enormous load bearing down on the king's tomb below. In fact, it's only through the channel, which Vise blasted, that Dr. Hawass can climb to these secret rooms. There is treasure here, but it's hard to find. Over the last 2 centuries, hundreds of visitors have scrawled their names all over the walls. But mixed among this graffiti, Egyptologists made a sensational find: hieroglyphic graffiti from the people who actually built the pyramid. The graffiti reveals that the pyramids were built by work gangs.
Each gang consists of 1,000 workmen, and they divide the gangs to small units. They call them file. A file is a Greek word, means tribe. Each tribe consists of 200 workmen.
The files were further divided into smaller gangs, and each boasted a name: Great One, Green One, Endurance, even one called Perfection. This could mean that the gangs competed against each other, and that they had a kind of team spirit. That's a critical detail in understanding the speed with which they built the pyramids. But Egyptologists were even more fascinated with graffiti found in the very top relieving chamber.
This is the name. The first time that you can see the name of Khufu written inside the pyramid. Khufu, inside a cartouche. And after that we have the word Apiru, and Simsu, mean the gang. And this is the name of the gang who built the pyramids, called Friends of Khufu.
Amazingly, this is the only known place in the whole pyramid with Khufu's name. This is his cartouche: a sun, a bird, a slug, and another bird. By signing their work in this holy place, the gang that set this stone upped their chances for immortality.